Good morning, Dr. Punk. Good morning. How are you? Good morning, Alexis. How are you? So we can start our prayers today with some words from the book of Deuteronomy. And we say these old words to remind ourselves that we are all part of the same branching tree. I'm doing well. I always make you smile. I think of you and your positive vibes all the time. I'm glad you like my hair. Yeah, sometimes I like to pull it up. You love my voice? Well, thank you. It took a lot of practice to get this voice. I'm very proud of it. You love everything I do. You have an addiction and your name is Zach. Will you please say a prayer? Well, absolutely. I have addictions too. And I wish prayers would make them go away. But that's not what prayers are for. But I will say a prayer. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Listen, Israel. Yahweh Eloheinu Asher Echad are one, like a serpent that eats its tail. All is one. Life and death are intertwined. We are all branches of this same tree. I have a marijuana addiction. It's not as bad as some people's, but it still gives me grief. Good morning, Clover. How are you? Kind of makes me so happy when I see you here. Like, you, I don't. You have no idea. Can I introduce you to my friend? Come here. Hey. Hey, good morning. Morning, let's say hello to all the people. Ooh. Here you are. This is my friend Beatrice. He has a broken wing. I found him in the field the other day. And I've been feeding them milkweed and fruit. Oh. Hey there. How are you doing? They're gonna die soon. Their wings are getting tattered. They have some sort of injury. But in the meantime, I've been filming them. It's nice to wake up next to them. You doing okay there? Yeah, I think you're doing okay. Yeah. You're never on my lives. Well, you're on this one. Welcome. Yeah, that's better. You should be closer. There we are. Good morning, Katie. How are you? What do I like to do in my free time? I like to make films. That's what I do. Every moment that I can, that I'm not working, I do other work. Thank you. Clover helped me get this voice. I'm really glad you like it. What are my pronouns? Okay, well, I have this chart. People on TikTok say, these are my pronouns at these ratios, so that's the answer to that question. Should we say another prayer? ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר נוחי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאהוד על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתהם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. What do those words mean? Well, they are in Hebrew. They're from the book of Deuteronomy, which was written around 2,500 years ago, and it was sort of consolidated and canonized after the Babylonian exile, when the priests returned to their home city of Jerusalem and tried to rebuild it and rebuild their culture and solidify it into a xenophobic mess. But I think the words of that prayer are very interesting and quite important, and I feel quite lucky that I get to say them every day. The translation goes, "And you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words that I am repeating to you today, that I'm teaching you today, teach them to your children and recite them when you wake up and when you go to bed and when you are out and when you are at home. And you shall bind them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead and inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." So the prayer says, copy me. It's a very simple prayer, right? It's very mimetical. The meme says, repeat. And so I do. I've been saying these words every morning for the last 7 years. And when I started feminizing my voice, I expanded this ritual so that I had a little bit more material to practice with. But the root of it has always been the Shema and the V'ahavta. Has always been these words from this old book that tell me to copy them. because I think that maybe if I repeat these words over and over and over again, maybe I'll understand in my body, maybe I'll come to actually experience what I believe the deeper meaning is, which is all is one, right? That we contain ourselves like a serpent that eats its tail. So that's the V'ahavta, and I'm really happy that I get to say it with you every morning, and with this butterfly. Isn't this stunning? Like I'm actually just a caricature. Like, this is not real, even though it's real. It's a real butterfly. Good morning, wildflower. So there's a little bit more from the book of Deuteronomy that comes after. So after we have the Shema, which says all is one, and after we have the V'ahavta, which says copy me, next we have the following words, which are basically a land acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement that we all live on stolen land. It goes like this. V'haya ki v'yachaya Elohecha el ha'aretz asher nizbah lavatecha le'avram li'Yitzchak u'Yaakov לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית, ובתים מלאים כל דבר אשר לא מילאת, ובורות עצובים אשר לא עשית, כערים וזיתים אשר לא נטעת, והלכת ושבת. הישמר לך ותשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. When Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of all good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Take heed that you do not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Right? So the prayer asks us to remember that we live on stolen land, that all of the things that are in our lives, all the wonderful riches, they're not necessarily mine, and they're contingent on theft from someone else. Whose land do you live on? I live on Oneida land. Whose land do you live on? You're not religious, but you welcome me in this grand rising of another beautiful day. Well, that's poetic. Hey, what's up? How you doing? You live on Anishinaabe land. We can remember that, not to disqualify ourselves from our homes, but just to acknowledge the long stretches of history that we come from, and the kinds of pain that make that history what it is. Here's a song about it. When I pray in another language, what do I hear in my mind? You only speak one language. Oh, friend. Come on. Don't get caught in there. That's no good. Come on. Hey. Woo. Good morning. So, I only speak one language also. I only speak English. And I have memorized these other prayers in Hebrew and in Sanskrit, and I know what they mean. I've studied them, right? So their meaning is well known to me, but I don't actually... Ooh, don't break your wing. Oh, you're gonna break your wing. Their meaning to me is known, but I don't know the word for word translations, right? Like I don't hear the grammar in my mind. Instead, there's a kind of meta meaning that I hold in my mind the entire time. And for me, actually singing in another language helps me to hold the larger meanings in my mind, because I don't get so caught up in the grammar and the specific meanings of the specific words. Instead, the whole sequence can come to mean what it needs to mean. Yes, the butterfly is injured. I found it in the field. Its wings are tattered and broken, and it's not going to make it to Mexico. This is the migratory morph, so they're hormonally sterile until they reach Mexico. This is a male. male named Beatrice. And he's going to be here until he dies. I've been feeding him fruit and nectar, but his days are numbered. Probably just has a few more before the end. And we get to share these days together. And I get to share him with you. Am I religious? Yes. I suppose I am. I don't think I could be on this stream and claim that I was not religious. Here. I came upon a wedding that old families had contrived, with Bethlehem the bridegroom and Babylon the bride. Oh, great Babylon is trembling, and she stood there naked with me, and Bethlehem inflamed us both like the shy one at some orgy. And when we fell together, all our flesh was like a veil that we had to draw aside to see the serpent eat its tail. Oh, some women wait for Jesus, and some we wait for Cain. And I'll hang upon this altar, and I'll hoist my axe again, and I'll take the one who finds me back to where it all began, back when Jesus was the honeymoon, and Cain was just a man. And we'll read from pleasant Bibles that are bound in blood and skin, that Asherah is gathering all her children back again. Their wing is not okay. Their wing is mortally injured. And that is what it is. As a death doula in training, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of these prayers are about death, right? That prayer is about the destruction of a city by a foreign invader, and yet it's also about a marriage, right? The destruction of the city understood to be a wedding, setting the stage for a new birth, new identity. Good morning. I wash my hair regularly, and I put in conditioner regularly, but I don't do anything special to it. So that is an excerpt of a song by Leonard Cohen called Last Year's Man. And those two verses are specifically about the Babylonian exile and ancient Jewish history and the rise of Christianity. The rest of the song is not so clearly about those things, so I don't sing the rest of the song. But the song is called Last Year's Man. Who was the destructor? The Babylonian Empire. The Babylonian Empire came in 586 BCE and destroyed the city of Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, destroyed the Ark of the Covenant, and then the remnant, the remainder of those people were left to pick up the pieces and reestablish what their culture was. And all of the Judaism that we know, that you know, that you've heard, comes from after that temple was destroyed, is a response to that early genocide. How did I learn all this? I read about it in books. And I grew up Jewish, so there are certain traumas that are ingrained in our collective memory that I couldn't help be taught about at an early age. Certain kinds of holocausts. You've got to run, but thank you for giving me this pleasant work break. Well, I'm so glad to have you, even for a few minutes. Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, shelo ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh Eloheinu, who did not make me a woman. Baruch atah Asherah, Anat melech haolam, asher yitzar et ha'adam, b'chachama uvara ve'or. I repeat the name of Asherah Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. This is Asherah. Here she is. An old goddess. We can say her names. Might be helpful. I'm the most zen person on TikTok. I'm glad you like my videos. Do I ever post childhood pictures? There's some videos of me as a boy on my channel. You can see them. And yes, I can still talk in my old voice. In fact, I just did. Thanks, Yahweh, for not making me a woman. I had to do that. It's been a while since you've seen my video. TikTok is not promoting my stuff right now. And so here we are. What do we do on the farm in the winter? We sleep. We sleep. We have a lot of meetings. We talk about what kind of institution we're trying to build and how we have to get there. We talk about our membership and our infrastructure. You can call me Teresa, or if you like, Tiresias. Either is fine. Are there any habits that I would recommend? Sleep well. Get good sleep. Get good sleep. We have 2 houses, working on a third, in a little courtyard, right? So all of the living spaces are separated by no more than 100 feet. So there are 6 people who live in this house, and then there's 2 outbuildings that house 3 people. Do I still keep in contact with my family? I am in contact with my family. My relationship with my mother is a lot better than my relationship with my father. I did get a text message from my father today asking me how to replace a hard drive in his computer. And I said, okay, you should buy this enclosure and da-da-da-da-da-da. But my father thinks I'm a boy. And that's a little challenging to work with, you know? Kajananam Buddhaganati Sevitam Kapita Jambupala Sarabhakshitam Umasutam Sakabinasakarnam Mahamatim Divyamayoravahanam Ridasyasinam Sarasainanatam Guham Sadanam Saranam Prapadye Yaku Henduti Sarahadvala Yasubravasvarita Yavina Varanda Manditakara Yasvita Padmasana Ya Brahmachuta Sankara Pratrapite Vasata Pujita Samampatu Saraswati Bhagavati Nihi Sadyadhyapa Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nisvayanjaya Santaya Shri Shivanandaya Te Namaha Shri Vishnu Devanandaya Te Namaha Om Sarva Mangla Manglaye Shive Savarta Sadike Saranye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Om I repeat the name of the Divine Mother Narayani, who brings auspiciousness. What was the name of the Leonard Cohen song? Last Year's Man. Last Year's Man is the name of the song. My Zadie would be terribly upset about the way I treat his tallet. He probably would. Although Zadie is not a word that I used. My grandparents are from Hungary, and so I referred to him by the Hungarian name for father, which is Apu. And yes, I think he would be very perplexed if he knew that I was wearing his tallis and mixing Hebrew prayers with Sanskrit ones. You know, I don't know how he would feel about me being a woman. But he's gone, and I'm still here, and I'm still carrying on this pattern. And I'm carrying it on as best I can, and I'm not an Orthodox Jew. I can't be. But I can still hold on to something that he held on to, and I can still keep it alive. I can still say some of the same words that he did, and so keep the tradition a living tradition. Carry it on, sis. Yeah, Kate. Absolutely. So I found this butterfly in our hayfield. She was injured by a car or a bird. I'm not entirely sure where her injury came from. Oh, she wants to fly, but she can't because her wings are damaged. Carry on traditions while still making them my own. Yes, exactly. Jayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivardhanam Orva Rukami Bhavandanan Mrityur Mukshiyam amritatom. Om. Triambakam yajamahe sugandim pushchivardhanam. Orva rukami bhavandanan. Mrityor mukshiyam amritatom. Om. Triambakam yajamahe sugandim pushchivardhanam. Orva rukami bhavandanan. Mrityor mukshiyam amritatom. Om. Sarvesham svastir bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashantu ma kashit dukhabhag bhave asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityar mamritam gamaya. Om purnamadam purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Om. That outer world is full. This inner world is also full. Taking fullness from fullness. Fullness remains like a serpent that eats its tail. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. What language am I speaking? So that language is Sanskrit. That prayer is in Sanskrit. It's called the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. It's very old, and it's from the Indian subcontinent. And I learned that prayer at the Shivananda Yoga Ashram in the mountains not far from where I live now. My parents took me there when I was very young and imprinted me with a certain flavor of Hinduism, even though they were both Jewish, because I don't know why, because they did. And so now I share these traditions with you, even though they're inconsistent and eclectic, because that's what I know how to do. Isn't she beautiful? She's amazing. It's a meditation on death, right? Like, perhaps I should kill her. Perhaps I should have left her in the field, right? Like, from an evolutionary perspective, she's already dead, right? She's not going to make it to Mexico. They're not going to have their genes move on to the next generation. But he's here. He's here with me. And I get to feed him nectar and fruit juice. And I think he likes me. He likes to hang out on my finger. I mean, this is like really quite special to have a butterfly just hang out with me like this. And I recognize it's because he's in pain, right? Because he's suffering. He wants to fly and he can't. But I am keeping him alive for a little bit. And when he dies, he'll still remain here with me, in some form. You have a one-on-one with an employee in a couple minutes. It has been a while, Kate. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. I'll see you later. He would have starved alone, so now he has me and gets to die in peace. Yeah. I think I'm comforting too. Certainly, my room is warmer than outside. That's for sure. So, now I'd like to share with you a prayer in English called I Don't Want to Pray by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. They're an American folk group. Wildflower, do you think that Beatrice is lucky? So I wouldn't necessarily call him lucky. I'm not sure that death is lucky, right? Or like, what is a good way to die? Is it better for a butterfly to die in an artificial environment cared for by a human? Very interesting relationship, one that is not in any way prepared for. Or would it be better for him to be snapped up by a bird and eaten? I don't know, right? Are we trying to maximize beauty? Are we trying to minimize pain? But here I am with this butterfly, right? It's selfish. Like, what I'm doing is selfish. I have no doubt about that. Like, gives me an opportunity to reflect on my own death, right? And reflect on what suffering means to me. He's living his last moments cared for me in comfort. Yeah. I think that's true. I think he is comfortable. He's certainly well fed. So, we're going to sing a prayer about prayer. And at this point in the stream, Beatrice might be unlucky, but he is hot and tragic, which is a good story, if nothing else. Yeah. Yeah, Clover, you have the right skeptical eye, right? It's content creation. I'm curating an image for you all. Yeah. Which is a good story. But good stories are important, you know? Good stories are very important. I'm like pure serotonin. That sounds a little addicting. You'd rather be cared for in your last days than be munched by a bird. Well, that's a reasonable perspective. So if we put ourselves into the body of the butterfly, if we imagine, okay, if I were this butterfly, would I be preferred to be cared for by a giant human and fed fruit juice, or would I want to be munched by a bird? I don't know. I think I might want to be munched by a bird. But obviously it's not knowable. So, anyway, here's a prayer. It's a prayer about praying. And if any of you want to share with me what you think prayer is, now's a good time. What's going on with the butterfly? The butterfly is mortally injured and will die one day, soon. But right now, they get to keep me company. I came upon... Nope, that's the wrong song. I don't want to pray to my maker. Ooh, I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink in golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun. Hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins. And I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. Allah made love, and Yahweh made hate. Asher made good, and Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh made hate. Allah. God made, but I don't want to pray to my maker. I just want to be feeling free. Not like in a book, or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. No, no. Pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. Allah made love, and Yahweh made hate. Asher made good, and Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh made hate. Allah. God made me. Except it's more of a convenient fiction. None of those gods exist, or they only existed so much as we talk about them. And actually, I made me, or you all made me. You allow me to create this image, this funny little image of a human on the internet with a butterfly. Right? This image wouldn't be possible if you weren't all here. And I'm acutely aware of that. So thank you. Some of those gods that I named, we can look at them now. This is a very tattered piece of paper, but that's fitting because it's an image of a tattered piece of pottery. Tattered piece of pottery. So this is an image, a replica of a piece of pottery that was found in the Sinai Peninsula in an archaeological site called Kunlet Arjud. And the inscription here reads Yahweh and his Asherah. And we can here see Asherah and Yahweh. And perhaps behind here is El, a holy bull, Right, so 3,000 years ago, this is the conception of God that my ancestors had. And we have 3,000 years of religious development to get us to where we are today, where I can sing an American folk song and modify the lyrics to talk about how I don't believe in any of them. Right? That's 3,000 years of history. It's all the same, really, right? All those ideas of God, they're all trying to get at the same thing. They just use different ideas, use different mediums to get across the ideas. The caterpillar turns into a butterfly. The butterfly just dies after that, yes. And even in this stream, they've been flapping their wings very vigorously, and bits of wing are flaking off, right? So I know they're close to the end. It's been 5 days since I adopted them. I don't know how much longer they're going to last, but I see them ripping their wings apart, trying to fly. And it's painful. Painful for them, it's painful for me. But here we are. Yes, that song is called I Don't Want to Pray by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. And I have a couple more for you before we'll switch gears and have breakfast. 2 more prayers to round out the ritual. One is called Arati. Where's Arati? Arati comes here. Arati is in this book from the Shivananda tradition. Kirtan. Here, this word kirtan means repetition of the names of God. So we'll say Arati. Arati means flame in Sanskrit. And so we have here a little flame. And after we say Arati, we'll say Kaddish. And the word Kaddish means holy in Hebrew. That's where my name comes from. It's an old word. The oldest version of it that I know of is this goddess, Katesh, who was worshipped on the Syrian coast around 3,500 years ago before her city was destroyed. Don't let it suffer. It's in pain. Let it out of its misery. That is one perspective, right? That's a perspective that I may even hold. We often kill animals that are injured on the farm, chickens, when they are ill and in pain. I'm not going to kill this butterfly because I think it's important to watch. Just let it outside. I could do that. It would die right away. I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I don't think there is a right thing to do. And what I'm do is guided more by my own human desires than it is by the needs of the butterfly and my understanding of them, because I can't understand the needs of this butterfly. But we're here together now, and I'm here with you. So it goes. So, Arati. Arati means flame. This prayer is in Sanskrit. If anyone asks while I'm singing, please let them know that it's in Sanskrit. Someone will ask, I assure you. So let them know that it's in Sanskrit. And the word Arati means light or flame in that language. Okay. Jaya Jaya Rati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Rati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Rati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Rati Venkantaramana Venkantaramana Sankatarana Sitarama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Rati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Rati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Rati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Rati Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimutriya Vatara Jaya Jaya Rati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Rati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Rati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gurave Jaya Jaya Rati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Devananda, Jaya Jayarati Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Jaya Jayarati Agastya Munaye, Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye, Jaya Jayarati Ayappa Swamine, Dharma Shastave, Jaya Jayarati Jesus Gurave, Moses Gurave, Buddha Gurave, Jaya Jayarati Muhammad Gurave, Guru Nanak Gurave, Samastya Guru Namaha, Jaya Jayarati Avenu Gopala. Natatra Bhati Natandra Karatam Nima Vidya Bhati Kutayamagni Twameva Bantamanabanti Sarvam Tasya Pasya Samidam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamune Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhika Veriya Namastitam Namo Namaha. Neither the sun shines there, nor the moon, the stars, nor lightning. So from where does this light come? By its light, all else is lit. From it, all else shines. What am I singing? I'm singing Arati, a fire prayer from the Shivananda Yoga tradition. Good morning, baby love. So nice to see you this morning. Twameva mata, chapita twameva, twameva bandhushasaka twameva, twameva vidya javinam twameva, twameva sarvam mama deva deva. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmanava prakrite sabhavad karomi adyad mangalam parasmahe Narayana hiti sarmar payami Sarvadharmam pravichaya mimikam savarnam vrja Aham sva sarva papayo mokshayami masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you, to all of you. Thank you all so much for being here with me this morning. It means the world to me that I get to share this with you all. You've been thinking about getting an Ouroboros around your wrist since your conversation a while back. You think it'd be a good reminder? I mean, that is why I put this on my hand. I put this on my hand right when I started transitioning. And originally it was an indicator of that. But, like, obviously it's more, right? There's this, like, it's a rich symbol. I think it's an important symbol to remind myself of. That's why I do this every morning. This particular one, can I show you an image of this particular one? I think I'll have to show you later when I'm not holding a butterfly. It's from an alchemical text, right? It's from an alchemist named Cleopatra. So this particular one had some significance to me, but it's like one of the oldest religious symbols in the world, right? You can find it in ancient Egypt. I'll see you later, Kimmy. For me, there's definitely something about connecting to the root with this symbol. Like, going back, if you look at most indigenous traditions, you'll find creation stories that contain a serpent, and they're not so coded with good and evil as the Genesis story that we've inherited in our culture. And so by choosing a symbol that's very old, it reminds me that what people think of as evil does not have to be evil. You know, that sort of like terrible image of consuming yourself, right? It's an image about death. It's somewhat similar to this. Like, oh yes, here's this creature and she's suffering, but also she's part of something bigger. And it is what it is. So, Kaddish. Kaddish is a prayer about death. So there were some folks talking about my grandfather earlier. There's a story I can share with you all. I don't share it often, but I think about it every time I say Kaddish. So this is my grandfather's prayer shawl, one of them. I inherited 3 from him. And he was a prisoner of war in World War II. He was working in a Soviet camp, and there was typhus in the camp, typhoid fever. My mother told me this story about his praying, that one night he woke up to go pee, and he was warned by one of the guards, hey, don't go back into your barrack building. There are sick people with typhus in there, and the soldiers are going to burn it tonight, as a kind of quarantine. He wasn't sick, obviously. Wasn't sick enough. And he said, oh, well, I need to go back and get my prayer shawl. And the guard said, no, they're burning it right now. If you go in there, you're going to die. And sure enough, soon the barrack burst into flames. And he stayed up all night saying Kaddish for all of the people in that building. And I started saying Kaddish every day when the pandemic began. And part of that was that I needed words to change my voice, and part of it that I was grieving, right? It's a prayer about grief. And it's the translation of the prayer is interesting. It's basically just God is great over and over and over again. It's not actually a translation that I care for, but the meaning of the words can change, right? So for 2,500 years, the words have been associated with grief and death, even though the word Kaddish means holy. I don't really know how those associations came, but I can tell you stories about, grandfathers staying up all night saying Kaddish for prisoners who are being burned alive. It's not pleasant. I'm not I'm not here to necessarily give you pleasant bedtime stories. But I think about that whenever I say Kaddish, and I've been saying Kaddish now for almost 2 years, daily, for those that die daily of coronavirus. And if there's someone that you are mourning this morning, if there's something that you are grieving, you could let me know in the comments. Let us all know. Put those names or some relevant description into this shared space, and then we can hold them in our minds together as we say these words about death and grieving. So for the last 2,500 years, since the destruction of the city of Jerusalem at least, my ancestors have been saying something like these words in response to death. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, b'yama divrach yoteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chaychon v'yamechon v'chayei kol beit Yisrael, b'agalah v'zman karif imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah meva'arach li'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yirmam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechemata di'amiran b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalom Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O se shalom b'imrumav. Hu ya'a se shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O se shalom b'imrumav. Hu ya'a se shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru, v'imru, amen. And Kaddish for Beatrice, who will die one day very soon. Thank you all for joining me this morning. I still, every morning I am stunned that there's a community of people that wants to share these words with me and share these moments with me. And it's pretty special. So thank you. I'm going to put Beatrice back on their flower. And then we can have breakfast. Do I do lives every morning? These days I've been streaming 4 mornings a week because I have work the other 3. I'll probably stream more in the coming days so I don't have to go to work for a couple of weeks. I teach mycology. But I don't have to go in for a while. Oh, look. They were hungry. Can you see that? Here. They're eating. Look at their proboscis go. Isn't that remarkable? Look at that. Tasty flower. You're from Portland? I didn't know you were from Portland, baby love. When did you move to Indiana? Anyhow, why don't we put her back? Okay. Around 4 years ago. Okay, so I'll take off the prayer shawl. So if you would like to join me for breakfast, like speak to me rather than type little typey types into the live feed chat, you can find me on my Discord server. I'm gonna go onto the live chat channel there in just a second. But I will probably also stay on here because most people like to talk to me on here. Typey. Yeah. Yeah. So, Wildflower, if you want to chat with me, I'd love to chat with you. I don't think we've ever actually spoken live together, but that is why I switch on to Discord, because I do like talking to you all live.